Well, in Genesis 14, war breaks out. It's 4 nations against 5 nations. See, these 5 nations were subject for 12 years to one of the kings of the 4 nations. And they decided to rebel there after 12 years. And so 2 of the kings that rebelled was the king of Sodom and the king of Gomorrah. And all the people in this war were taken prisoner once they were defeated. And one of those that was taken as a prisoner of war was Abraham's nephew, Lot. And so Abraham hears about this and he leads a group to go and rescue Lot and to rescue them all. And Abraham was told to take then, after he defeated these armies and won, Abraham was told to take all the possessions. But Abraham stated that he made an oath not to. He didn't want it being said that the king of Sodom made him rich and kind of holding that over his head. And so Abraham missed out on this earthly wealth. But in the very next chapter, in Genesis chapter 15, after missing out on this, God reveals to him that he has something greater in store for Abraham. So let me read to you Genesis 15, verse 1 through 6. After these events, the word of the Lord came to Abram in a vision. Do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield, and your reward will be very great. But Abram said, Lord God, what can you give me, since I'm childless and the heir of my house is Eliezer of Damascus? Abram continued, look, you've given me no offspring, so a slave born in my house will be my heir. Now the word of the Lord came to him, this one will not be your heir. Instead, one who comes from your own body will be your heir. He took him outside and said, look at the sky and count the stars if you're able to count them. Then he said to him, your offspring will be that numerous. Abram believed the Lord and credited to him as righteousness. Now, Abram had missed out on one reward, but he will receive something far greater. God had done something greater for Abraham. And you know what? If God has called you and told you to do something, God will do something greater for you. He's called you to be a Christian. And the reward that you receive for giving up everything in this life is greater than anything than you and I can imagine. You know, I think about it, and Lord, test my faith sometimes, you know. As a pastor, I've lived in a pastorium, and I don't get pastors that don't like that. I love living in the pastorium. But one day, that's going to come to an end when I retire. And I've always wondered, well, where do I live after that? How's God going to provide a house? And I know that the Lord will provide something for my wife and I to live. You know, and that's on down the road. But things like that we think of about the earthly things. But understand that as we live for the Lord and we think we're missing out on things, that God's reward and his provisions are greater. And so don't let there be any fear of missing out, because what he has in store for us is greater. Hope to see you again tomorrow.